Hey there, welcome to the Second Act Success podcast. I'm Shannon Russell. As a business coach helping women start and scale businesses, I created this podcast to give you the advice and inspiration you need so that you can start your second act and create a business and life you love. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the Second Act Success podcast. I am your host, business coach, and author, Shannon Russell. On this episode, I am having a conversation with my friend Jesikah Wells. Jesikah is the host of the Broken to Beautiful podcast. She is a blogger, a Christian influencer, and she has created this space for women to come together, talk about their past, and build a beautiful future. And what I love is that she has created all of this while still working full-time in finance. Jesikah talks to me about how she created this space, how she manages her full-time work, and how she does it all because it truly fulfills her. Let's get into this conversation because I know a lot of you will be able to relate. Here is my conversation with Jesikah Wells. Jesikah Wells, welcome to Second Act Success. I'm so delighted to have you here.
I'm so happy to be here with you, Shannon.
We met, we were just saying maybe even a year ago when I guested on your podcast, Broken to Beautiful. And we had such a lovely conversation where I said, I have to get you on here to talk about your journey.
Yes, we really did. I really enjoyed having you. I love everything that you do.
Right back at you. And we're going to dive into all of it, but I want to start from the beginning like I always do. So tell everyone where your career began. Where did everything start?
My career began, I want to say about 8 years ago. I kind of fell into wealth investment management. I say fell into it because I started off in the legal department at Wells Fargo. So I wasn't really thinking about securities and finances, investments, things like that. The opportunity opened up, so I applied and I got it. From there, that's what started a whole about 8 years in that field, helping people to manage their assets.
Talk about learning a lot. I always like to say when you're in whatever role, keep your eyes open for new opportunities. And it
Yes.
sounds like that's what happened with you.
Yes, it did. Taking that leap, to say, I'm going to try this out. If I don't like it out, I can always come back to the legal side of things, but I'm going to try this out. And I did it, and I found out how passionate I really am about finances and financial literacy
Yeah.
overall. Yeah.
I love this rant. I feel like I go on this rant all the time because what a lot of us do, we're not taught that in school.
No.
And so you get into the real world and you realize, okay, I am illiterate when it comes to this. Now, did you always have a fascination with money and numbers and all of that? Or did you really just learn on the job?
So let me tell you, I am such a girly girl and I love to shop. And so in order to shop, I have to have the finances to do so. And not just so much of shopping, but being able to do that and not run into a deficit
Right.
and not, having to look back like, oh my gosh, why did I make this purchase? So learning how to manage my finances was very big to me.
Hmm. Right. And be responsible with it.
Yeah,
And so you made this switch internally at Wells Fargo.
I did. I did.
And was your department in the legal side of things, were they open to you making the switch? Because I know oftentimes it can be a little awkward to say, hey, I'm kind of interested in going over here. But when you get someone who's on your side and supportive, it can make all the difference.
It really can. And I must say that they were supportive. So that helped a lot.
So you get into this new role, and are you just learning on the job and you're figuring it out? What was your role?
My role there was what they call a case advisor. I handled escalated complaints. So when customer service had an issue that needed to be investigated, it would come to me and I would do like the review of each of the account, whether it was technical, user error, Wells Fargo error. I'm actually investigating that to see what happened. So really looking into the accounts to say, hey, seems like this was traded wrong, or seems like this wasn't supposed to be in that account. So really figuring out what happened and coming to a resolution. So I was like the final step in reaching the client and saying, hey, this is what happened. This is what we're going to do about it, Wells Fargo. Today, I'm no longer with Wells Fargo, but I am in project management. And with that, I help nonprofit organizations and streamline their processes and all the things that they have to deal with on a daily. That's what I do.
How did that opportunity come about? Were you ready to get out of finance, or did you want to just start dipping your toes into the nonprofit world?
I wanted some experience with nonprofit.
Mm.
I am passionate, like I said, about finance and financial literacy, but I wanted that experience because of where I am going. I needed experience with nonprofit organizations. So I kind of, like I said before, just took a leap and said, hey, I'm going to see if I can get this role. If I get this role, then it's meant to be. If not, then maybe I need to try something else. And that's what I did. I applied and here I am. Here I am.
That's not all you do, Jessica. Like, there's a lot of different layers, and you've got your hands in different entrepreneurial ventures. So let's talk about your blogging, your podcast, everything else that you're building.
I have my podcast, and it's the Broken to Beautiful podcast. And it is a faith-based podcast about, us as women navigating life's ebbs and flows with Christ at the center of it. And it's just having those conversations that we don't really get to talk about. If you attend church, it's church, but you don't really get to have those conversations that deep dives into, okay, why am I feeling this way? Why is this happening? I'm not the only one that has these thoughts. I'm not the only person that's thinking this or trying, just having that conversation. So that's what the podcast is based off of. From that, I do have my blogs because I love to write. And I have some more things in the works with that same brand. But right now it's the podcast and my blogs. That's what I have right now.
Where was the inspiration to start the podcast and the brand as a whole? Because Broken to Beautiful it is so beautiful. It's so relatable, especially to women in our different phases of life. Where did that inspiration come from?
Honestly, it came from my life. And I think you and I talked before because I know you are second chance. And it came from that turning point in my life where I had to literally step out and say, hey, what am I going to do now? And by doing that, it kind of, I want to say it's like my journey, just basically giving what I have learned and what I'm currently going through at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's never over. We're always learning, and there's new obstacles in front of us and new struggles. And I know when we spoke, you had, I think, just moved to a new state, and you're a mom, and you were adjusting then. So it's like we're always going through these new changes.
Yes, yes, we are. And those are the things that I think that we don't talk about enough. I know that you do second act coaching, which is amazing because we don't talk about it enough. I can count the women or countless women that I have spoken with, and they all say the same thing. I don't know where to start again, or I'm afraid, or, and I'm just like, girl, what do you mean? Come over here. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about this.
And that's what you do on your podcast. And what I try to do here, that we're not alone, and that other people are going through this, because that helps you through, because life can break us down. Whether, what broken looks like is different for all of us, but to say we're not alone and there's a way out, and let's get back to that beautiful side of things.
Exactly.
As mothers, we're learning and we're dealing with these different issues with our kids, and making sure that they are grounded and as strong as they can be.
Well,
Yet we might be dealing with things. So it's so honest how you have these conversations and bring this to the forefront.
thank you. I try my best. I tell people all the time, listen, all I have is my testimony. I can only tell you what I have learned.
Yeah. Well, and making it a Christian podcast, why was that important to you to really show your faith and bring that into the heart of everything that you build with this brand?
I believe it was important because, again, those are the things that we don't talk about. I've been in a space where I just pretty much, for lack of better words, was on autopilot. I'm a mom, so I work, I cook, I clean, make sure the kids are fed, make sure the house is clean. I've done all of that. Okay, but what next? What's outside of that? I love to do those things, by the way. I love to take care of my family. It's what I do. I'm such a mom. At the end of the day or the next day, what is Jessica doing to fulfill herself? So I felt like it was needed for those who are feeling like they don't have anyone to talk to or there's no one else who understands.
Yeah. And you know what? You just brought up something so important, is that we as moms often put ourselves to the side and we focus on the family and all of that. But like you said, what makes Jessica happy? What makes you feel alive? And what is going to fulfill you as a person before all of those other layers? And I think you saying that is amazing. So thank you for sharing that and for giving permission for all of us. And really even second acts like we talk about here on the show don't have to be starting a business, changing careers. It can be really saying, what do I want my life to look like in this next chapter?
Right.
And what will fulfill me? And you said earlier that you love writing. So sit down in the very little free time you have, but get creative and get quiet with your thoughts and write.
I was literally on lunch today, and so I have a birthday next week. And thank you. And I started thinking, and the thoughts came to my mind like, what is this year going to be? And what does it look like? And I mean, so much started coming to my mind. I took out my phone, pulled up my notepad, and I started jotting down my thoughts. I mean, it was that easy. I was like, wait a minute, let me get this because it may leave me. Let me get it now.
Mom brain.
And right. And I think it's just that simple. If you have an electronic device, I tell my son now I have one that's in college. So I tell him now, like, if it comes to you, take a moment, use your notepad on your phone. If you have a piece of paper, write it down so you have it somewhere to come back to later, for sure.
Yeah. And I keep a little notepad, maybe, 3x4 in my bag at all times. Cause when I get to a red light, sometimes I just want to jot down that thought before it escapes me. And like you said, to find that time, maybe it's on your lunch break, just those little moments in our day where you can say, what can I do to make myself feel fulfilled? And it doesn't have to be a blog or building a brand like you're doing. It can be reading a book or just listening to music, having
Yeah.
that, finding that peace, whatever that is for you.
Right, right. Finding that peace. Shannon, when I tell you, so what I've been working on lately with myself is finding that peace and tranquility. Because I do work, mom, like you said, all the things, but finding that moment to just recalibrate and having those quiet moments. And when I tell you what I found it to be so far, a nice cup of tea,
Yeah.
okay, and just some nice calming music and just relax before I go to bed, kind of really wind down. And it's been doing amazing things for me. I wake up, I'm re-energized, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I love this.
And you do it a couple days and it becomes a routine and a habit. And you look forward to that moment, I'm sure, the unwinding.
I really do. And the boys know. I'm like, okay, you guys, I'm going to wind down. And they're like,
I love too that you are working full time, but you're able to find the time to create the podcast, do your writing. For women who are listening and they want this creative outlet, whatever it might be, where do you find the time to stick a podcast in there and develop these new things that you're developing? What advice would you give for working moms to find that time?
honestly, finding that time just comes like we just stated. When an idea or a thought comes, is to get it out. Don't let it just pass you by. Whatever it is, if you have a notepad, like Shannon was saying, she carries hers around. If you have a device, a tablet, whatever it is, get it out and write it down. I'm a creative person, so I'm also the queen of multitasking. So I can be working and in one hand, I'm creating something for my show, or a thought will come to me for my show. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to get this. Which believe me. So it can be pretty much at any given time. I say be open to it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just dismiss it because you're so busy. Before I started doing my notepad on my phone, I'm laughing because I would send something to my closest friend, and it would be just something random, and I just had to have it, so I would send the text to her. I'm like, "Disregard this. I just needed to get it out real quick so I can come back to it later." She's like, "Oh, okay."
Well, I'm telling you, I will text myself. I had to put myself as me in my phone, and my car lets you voice text. And so I'll hit it and say, text me whatever the thought is if I'm, not at a red light. So you can do it. It's so important too, I think, to just say that us finding the creative time, whatever it is, writing, reading, having your tea, and listening to music, it's not selfish. Because I have had clients say to me, "Oh, I just feel so guilty when I sit on the couch and read a book." And no, because I don't know, I'd love to know your thoughts on this, but I always think, well, my kids are watching and I want them to see that mom worked all day, made
Right.
dinner, now we're hanging out. And you know what? When they're playing video games or doing homework, it's okay if I sit and read a book because that's my escape from the day. And we're all allowed to have that.
Right, right. So my thoughts on that is exactly what you said, right? I practice transparency with my sons. Not so much things that they can't handle, but
Right.
just being honest with them. And I learned that that works. I can literally say, hey, you guys, I'm a little bit more tired today. Today drained me. This, that, and the third. I had a rough day at work, or I had to run here after work. And, I'm a little tired. So, give me a little grace. I'm going to
Yeah.
go put my feet up for a second with it.
Yeah.
I've also dealt with mom guilt before. I can honestly say that, feeling like I wasn't there enough because I did work so much and had so much on my plate. So I understand and I relate to whoever's feeling like that. But on contrast, I will say sometimes, kids, they're so loving. Children are so loving, and they're a lot more resilient than, we give them credit for. Sometimes just having that conversation. I found that doing that, my kids, they understand. Even my middle son, he's like, "Mom, I know you're tired. Thank you. So we're having pizza tonight." And you're like, "What?"
Right, we can be vulnerable with them. They are gonna get it. We're as human as they are, right? Like,
Exactly.
yeah, and we can't be the moms we wanna be if we're exhausted. And so we're
Yeah.
allowed to have a TV night and have our feet up and order pizza. Like, those are the best nights.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Early sleep.
Well, I'd love to know, I know you have your hands in a bunch of things. Do you feel like this is your second act? Do you feel like your second act began when you created Broken to Beautiful and you started really letting your creativity come out, or is it yet to come?
I feel like it did begin when I created Broken to Beautiful.
Mm,
Is it finished? No. I feel like there is more to come, but I feel like it's still this second act.
yeah.
So it's almost like it's segmented almost. Like this is phase one.
Yeah.
I'm excited for phase two until it's, whatever the Lord wants it to be.
I think so too. And I think it probably opened you up to say, wow, I can do more. I can compartmentalize being a mom with working, with now taking on this venture and being open to whatever opportunities, just like you were open when you worked in the legal department to a new opportunity. I love like connecting those strings because it really is you saying, okay, what's next? What can I do as Jessica?
Right.
Do
Right.
you think coaching or helping other women, you know, venture into what is next for them is something on the horizon for you? Because I could see you being excellent at that.
I do believe that that is in the works. Do believe so.
Well, I love that, and I'm very much looking forward to it. Just the idea of your brand is so, like I said, beautiful and inspiring, and it's exciting to know that there's more, and it's exciting to see how it evolves because there's never an end in sight unless you say there is.
I thoroughly believe that. Like, I'm always looking for ways to not necessarily reinvent myself, but how I can achieve more.
Yeah.
How can I do more in whatever aspect that is? And yeah, sometimes I have to slow myself down.
Yes.
Like, Jessica, wait. Maybe
Yeah.
not yet. Let's do A, B, and C first, and then we'll get to D. But I'm always seeking those things. Okay, what can I do a little different?
Learn as you go.
Yeah.
As we wrap up here, what is one piece of advice for anyone who's listening? They're thinking about a second act or they're feeling a little broken, but they know that there's more that they can do in this world and this one life that we're given. What advice would you give them to keep going and find what's beautiful in them again?
Oh my goodness. The first thing so a few things come to mind are those things that usually hold us back: fear, lack of self confidence, imposter syndrome. And I would definitely say if you're feeling any of those things, one, of the tools that I use. My show is faith-based, so I the Word of God. Find a scripture that counteracts that belief, and I write it down. And when I get up in the morning, I speak it over myself. The scripture that says, I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Those things. So whatever it is for you, you counteract that feeling, right? And replace it. It's kind of like an exchange. You exchange it. Well, what I want to say is the truth, because you're not just somebody who's not worthy enough, that's not good enough, doesn't have enough. So you write the truth and you speak it over yourself, whether it's an affirmation, a say, whatever it is, until you adopt that in your soul and in your spirit, and you become that. And don't give up. Don't give up.
That's beautifully said, and it's very true. It's like you can worry about what others think and those negative self-talk thoughts that you might have, but you're the only person who can change that. So by really affirming that and replacing that idea with something more positive, that is such a way to go. I love that advice. For any and all listeners who are paying attention and loving you like I am, where can they connect with you? Where can they find the podcast and everything that you're up to?
My podcast is on all streaming platforms. Wherever you listen to podcasts, I'm there as Broken to Beautiful by Jesikah Wells. And I'm also on YouTube. And I do have TikTok and Instagram, all Broken to Beautiful podcasts. So you can find me on any of those platforms. And yeah, welcome.
Well, great. I will put everything in the show notes so they can find it easily. And Jesikah, thank you. I feel like we could just keep talking. I feel the good vibes from you. Like there's so much more ahead. So we'll all be watching and following along. And I wish you the best.
Likewise, likewise. We will talk soon again, Shannon. I just believe so.
Thank you. Thank you for joining me for another episode of the Second Act Success podcast. If this episode has you thinking about starting a business or growing the one that you already have, I offer free Second Act strategy calls. This is where we map out what makes sense for your business and your life. You can book yours now at secondactsuccess.co/strategy or grab the link in the show notes below. As always, thank you for being here. Until next time, I'm your host, Shannon Russell, wishing you the best day ahead as you plan your second act. I'll see you on the next episode.